Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about technology and innovation. And in this case, we're diving into the world of AI, generative AI. We're honored to have with us Sridhar Sunkara. He is the CEO and Chief Strategy Officer with our partners at eBiz Solutions. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Well, before we dive into AI and how businesses can leverage generative AI, let's start with a little context for those who don't know eBiz Solutions in your world. Let's start there for some context, and then we'll dive on in deep. So give us some background on eBiz Solutions.
eBiz Solution has been in business from 2005. So we are a digital transformation company. We try to help companies take the potential of technology and how they embed that into their businesses so that they can scale, grow, and be more efficient with the businesses.
When you talk about leveraging technology, it's about automation, streamlining, making it easy for customers to interface. Yep. And so, apps, software, like all these things, this is your world, including generative AI and artificial intelligence. So let's start for those who, when you talk about Gen AI, generative AI, like go ahead and define what artificial intelligence is so we can start there with a frame of reference, especially generative, and then let's work our way through.
What generative AI does from a traditional artificial intelligence is generative AI actually has to go and learn everything in the previous, right? The history, going to go and look at your data, everything it learns. And then when you prompt it, it generates new content. And then the content could be text, images, videos. So it's a multimodal content that can come out of what it understands from all the information that it has learned, and then creates a totally new content. So that's the beauty about generative AI.
And for organizations, when you talk about generative AI, you obviously have the, kind of the public side, but there's also a chance to make it more private where it's pulling your information and not necessarily sharing it from others, correct?
Yeah. So what a lot of people are hesitant of sometimes right now using generative AI is they feel like, okay, their information is going to be out, right, in public. So there are different models and how you manage the model. So if you're going to directly use ChatGPT, yes, your information is going to be in the public, right? But if you take a model like a ChatGPT model is a GPT model. So you have different models like Falcon, you have Llama from Meta. You can take those models and embed within your own environment, and you train it with your own data and so with your own prompts, and then it's going to stay within four walls of your whichever way, like your company or whatever your structure that you're going to create, and the data is going to stay there and it's going to learn from data and it's going to give you the benefit of all the generative AI can do. But again, it comes with a cost. So using a chat GPT or Claude or Bard, they're very cheap, right? So they're either free or you can pay $20-$25 per month and you can benefit so much out of it. But as you're moving towards where you want to own and you want to have more a competitive advantage, if you are using ChatGPT, anybody else can use ChatGPT. So your competitors can use the same way you're doing. So there's not a big competitive advantage, but still you get a lot of things done very quickly through using ChatGPT and the public side of it. But when you go to the private, now you're working with your own data, with your own modeling, how you want to do. Now you have the competitive advantage than your competitors. Or if you're trying to bring in new innovation and all without putting that into a public area, but it comes with a cost. As you're moving towards that, you're now spending more and more dollars. So you need to think and say, okay, how do you want to proceed? But you want to start. You want to start from somewhere and you want to slowly get there. And the costs are going to go down as we go. I mean, like as the years coming by. But that's how you need to look at the whole generative AI is what can I use, what departments can use with the public knowledge, what can be used with our private information that could make more for us to be on the competitive edge.
Let's go ahead and share some examples. I look at it on our team for someone like Andrew Bartolotta, our digital media director. He uses it for social media posts. He uses it for all sorts of descriptions and things online, SEO for website. Like there's so many applications on that side. Allison uses it on our team. My wife uses it. Like I have friends who use it to help them write emails. Like there's a lot of applications, but when you look at how this can permeate and really be leveraged for a business, go ahead and start talking about how some of the different industries are using it, some specific examples of different businesses, obviously, that you're working with. Go ahead and tease us a little bit with the application.
Yeah. So the ones that you have told as examples, right? So every business here can use that, right? So you to quickly draft an email, right? So to quickly get some ideas. The news about this generative AI, especially ChatGPT, Bard, and Claude, are we are always stuck to start, right? What is the new ad? So but you still have in your mind the intent, what you want to say. Going into these platforms and putting that intent will give you a lot of information right away to kickstart what we really want, right, from a content generation point, right? Even whether it's creating an image or a video or content, just textual content, it gives a very good jump start. And if you're a domain expert, you can quickly sift through the information and say, oh, that makes sense. I forgot about it. Oh, I should have thought like that. So that's on that area. So when you are moving towards, for example, if a company does a lot of contracts, right? You see a lot of contracts and everything. So it takes a good amount of time to sift through the contract and understand the contract and review. Instead of that, what you can do is that's where you bring this inside within your own domain and space. You train what a good contract should look like and what are the areas of contracts you really want to understand, and you make the model ready. New contracts comes in, you just put it in there, it will spit out, here are the areas you might want to review in the contract. Or you can create a contract using this models and say, here is a good contract should look like for this particular client with this terms and conditions, whatever it is, right? That's one way of doing it. Another thing we have done for a few clients is some of them have like a lot of bills coming in. It could be tax bills, big real estate properties that own. So they have people that have to take that information, put it in the system, and then go and pay them. And also, instead of that, what we have done is we train all kinds of bills and told this is the information, this is what it meant, and that is how you need to put it in the system. So now when a new thing comes, it just goes to the system. And this is like 7, 8 people were doing it now. It just gets down to nobody needs to do it. So it goes and puts in the system, and it knows exactly how the data should work. And then it creates that process. The next step of the process, the main process, is now completely off, right? So you don't have to worry about which takes 10, 12 days to do that. Now it's like hours, minutes, right? You're done, and now it kicks off into the next part of stage of the process, and it gets processed. That's another one. And then you have a lot of companies have customer service. Everybody has customer service. Everybody has trainings, right? So now you train your models with all the customer service problems. Like for example, I might say in technology, hey, I forgot my password. So instead of calling this company, you just go into a bot that the company knows with their own data. So now it's not exposed to other people. And then based on it, it immediately recognizes the client, and it can now train, and it give them all the information, right? And then same thing with the training. You can't make people, when you're onboarding, just keep them in a room for 24 hours, like I mean, like 8 hours a day for a week, and they will forget most of it. Right now, you have chat, like you can have all the trainings with the video, audio, everything, and then and people are, as they're doing it, they can click, and it helps them how they need to do the job at the time when they really need it the most. So there are several aspects of it, and we are even working and talking to a lot of healthcare providers, right? So healthcare is a big thing. The cost and the quality of the care is what everybody is concerned. So we are using these models to make sure reduce the cost, but also increase the quality of the care and the speed of the care. So there are several, every industry, when you talk about it, there is a use case that you can go jump in and do it.
And you talk a lot about how when you talk about these sort of efficiencies, the automation, the time savings, it also allows you, though, to take your team, your employees, and put them in places that are going to be more beneficial. And so instead of doing the mundane tasks over here, now they can do the things that require more brain power and more personnel to be able to create increased productivity and efficiencies in different areas. And so it allows you to kind of recalibrate and move things around to actually, increase the productivity for your business and to be more creative and innovative on that side. And I think those are things that start to open up more opportunities for businesses as they think about, okay, how can I leverage this technology to be beneficial, but ultimately help my people as well?
Yeah.
Talk about where it starts. So when you are looking at these different opportunities, where does it start with the company?
First, you need to, as a company, come together and say, we're going to take this journey together. Because it has to be first told to everybody, because otherwise people freak out because they think that they're going to lose their job. So now you come together and say, this is journey we're going to do. Let's all come together. And then what you have to do is you have to go through your whole business processes, all the processes, and see which areas you're lacking, where it gives a lot of return on investment. The first, don't get on the big ones, the complex process. Like take the very simple processes, right? And see what is the benefits, the ROI. That's the first thing. And then what you do is, in order for that to help, do you have the data? Right? You need to have data somewhere to train, right? So you need to make sure you have the data, or you need to collect the data to train them more. And then you need to pick a model. There are several models out there, right? So you pick the model that would be best for your use case. You take that model and then you implement it, and you do pilot testing. Because one thing that is very different from traditional software programming versus generative AI applications is they do a lot of hallucinations. So it might be it's not a right answer, but it gives an answer because the models are trained to give you an answer. So they're not going to say, I don't know most of the time. They're going to give something. So how do you avoid the hallucination is the training of the data, continuous training of the data. So the more data it gets. So you have to pilot test to make sure you're continuously working on it. So it gets to the point where you say, okay, if it's 99% efficient, right? If it is right 99%, we're going to go live. So then you go live. And then you see this alignment and the activation. We need to know, understand how people can use it. Do they know how to use it? Do they know? So that's very important, is the activation piece within the organization or within the community that you are actually trying to deliver this product. And then you always scale and optimize it so that you cannot stop. But those are the 6 steps you really need to take in order to have a good success outcomes.
When you look at that roadmap, just like you're saying, there's a lot of prep work. I mean, making sure you have the information, then the training, then how we got to make sure that we're testing this and not getting the
Yeah.
hallucinations and that the information is correct, because just like you said, it is going to give you an answer. And so making sure that answer is correct. What's a typical and realistic time frame? I mean, obviously every business is going to be different based on what they have, where they are in the journey, and it's a continuous journey. But when you look at a business leader saying, okay, I want to start taking these steps, we need to start putting some of this in place and creating the roadmap. Is it like, hey, it could take a year, it could take 6 months, it could take a month? What's a typical time frame for being able to orchestrate and launch generative AI to benefit your business?
Yeah, I mean, again, the timeline varies from different complexities, all right? So this could be anywhere from a week to a year or more. And so one thing that leaders really need to understand is we are all used to, okay, when we start a project, give me the deadline of the project. This really, you can't give a deadline. It's not because it's not in our hands. Most of it is about training and making sure that we pick the right model, and we probably have to change the models in between, or you use multiple models to get one outcome, right? So I mean, if you're trying to bring in a chatbot or something, it again, like how much of that we need to train, right? What information we to train? Can we train in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then test it? I wouldn't say anything less than a month for a very small implementation. But that month is if you have everything ready, the data is ready, everything is clean, and we know everything, and then you can do it, right? And some of them will take months and months to do it. But once it is done, I mean, you will see a very, very good return on investment.
When you look at some of the ethical considerations, because that's a piece of, the conversation overall, the ethics of AI, what are some of the ethical considerations that business leaders need to be thinking about?
So the ethics is more like you think about biases, right? So again, like whoever is going to train and their business model, who they want to go after, they have that in their mind. So when they train, they have that pieces in their mind. So that could be a bias for another group or other type of business, right? So you always have to consider that ethical considerations, but also when companies when the leaders wants to do this, yeah, you're cutting costs, it being more efficient, being more productive, that also means that you will have to cut some jobs, and it is a job killer in one way, but also it improves the jobs of everybody that is using it. So it's not like just losing jobs, but now people have to be augmented with AI continuously, right? So you got to think about, okay, when we are actually implementing this, what is the impact on the company, right? From a resources point, like, do we need to retrain them, right? So we need to let them go. If you are letting them go, they need to be known, and because it is going to happen whether you want it or not. I mean, or you want to just scale with the same number of people, you can scale faster. So definitely those, and then regulations, we need to consider the regulations, right? So if it is healthcare, we need to consider healthcare regulations. If you're dealing with kids and education, because it's a big change for education. Education is going to be transformed because of this. Pretty much every industry is going to be transformed because of this. So you need to have a little bit more cautious of how you implement, the speed at which you implement, and what it could lead to afterwards.
Where do you see all of this headed? Because it is rapid transformation. AI is still fairly new. When you look at even, things like the iPhone and all these things that we think have been around for so long, when you look back, it hasn't been that long. And yet the rapid proliferation, the rapid advancements, all of that, where do you see things headed with AI and specifically generative AI?
Yeah, I think what we will see is a transformational change, not an incremental change from now in every industry. Take education. Education needs to be completely transformed because of this, right? Now you have people can get an answer in their pocket, right? Because you can have a Chat GPT app in your phone, and you can. But now education needs to think: is that what I'm looking for? Or that people, that students understand what it means. So now they're going at a higher level of thinking rather than just remembering things. Now you are saying that, hey, do I understand what I remember? The education system will be transformed that way, right? So in companies, speed of delivery, right? Innovation is going to be, right? Your business model can completely transform because of this, right? At every level of the company. So everything is going to be more transformational rather than an incremental change. So every business leader needs to sit down and see, okay, the 3 4 year plan, how do we bring in a generative AI into your existing transformation journey? So that could be more creative, it could be faster, right? It could also change their roadmap that they have for the next 1 year, 2 years, because they can speed up things, or they can just completely eliminate some things because of AI.
Yeah, good stuff. This is one of those conversations we could have go on forever. And that's why we love having you come back on and talking about all of this, because it keeps us in the know and it gives us an opportunity to see where the future is headed and how we can leverage it for our benefit, right? So where do we go, though, to carry these conversations forward, to reach out and connect with you, eBiz Solutions? Where do we go?
Our website is thinkebiz.net. So that's where we try to put some blogs and all. We are trying to still write the content, even though we have AI, we are still figuring out to write. But also, you can follow me on LinkedIn. It is Sunkare. S is Sunkara. That my X and my LinkedIn profile. So that's where I'll be on there.
Well, Sridhar, always a wealth of information. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for being a City Current partner. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most: the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.